Good afternoon, dear friends. In fact, this workshop is the final one of the second day of our Baltic days. Last year we didn't have it. It took 2 years to prepare for this event this year, and it was so fast. It ran so fast. However, I will give you the official information, and then Mr. Frank Kamieniecki will give us his comment on the seminars. There were 3 sessions of the organizing committee and a press conference. Summing up the results of the Baltic Sea days, we must say that it is the 3rd time that the forum was convened here in this venue, Expoforum venue, but for the first time it was ran both in an offline and online manner, and a hybrid manner of sorts. There were much more participants than usually. Because of this online participation, because 1,200 people took part in the forum online, and 600 visitors took part in person. The participants visited the first local shrimp farm, the facility for reusing the processed plastic fished from the water. And now I will give the floor to Mr. Frank Kamieniecki, HELCOM Secretary. Thank you for your words. However, I am not so long time secretary. I hope that everything is ahead still. This event was very interesting, but of course it was a kind of a trial of sorts, because we tested this hybrid format for the first time. And many of our roundtable discussions were very interesting. We have a slight discrepancy with Alexander Alexandrovich, and now we had 13 components, and 11 of them were broadcast online. But we have 7 resolutions from 7 events. The material was really very interesting. I will try to highlight the things which were most interesting, The first roundtable discussion was on climate change, and it was supported by BSR Water project platform. Also, there were interesting materials on urban planning, and it was very topical. Here in St. Petersburg, the place where land meets the sea. Also, we had to take it became clear here that we have to take account of climate change in our planning, and it was also the insistence of HELCOM. Another conclusion was that we've got to migrate from plans on climate change and mitigation to practical actions. And hopefully the HELCOM fact sheets were presented during this round table. Especially the information that was voiced here on city wastewater treatment and management. Then we shall have to adopt the new roadmap for urban planning. And here I would like to mark the fact that Russia is falling behind the other countries of the Helsinki Convention because they have already developed their plans for sea areas, while Russia has not done it yet. Also, the regulatory framework for this roadmap is not yet in place in Russia. We also discussed another project, D33 for the Baltic Sea. As far as I know, there were materials presented in favor of this project, and there is also environmental expert opinions, and also the zero discharge principle of the Helsinki Convention was mentioned. It was one of the fundamental principles of the convention because it addresses the issue of impact on humans. A very interesting roundtable discussion, and I feel sorry that it was impossible for me to take part in it. It was a roundtable on hazardous substances, because the Convention on Hazardous Substances has got to be revised to meet the modern requirements. And the screening campaign was mentioned, and it is planned now. Screening in the countries members of the convention, and Russia may also take part. There should be a special mechanism for emerging pollutants, the new pollutants which have not yet been accounted for. Also, a very interesting proposal was made to discuss the harmonization of environmental standards in regard to hazardous substances and the approaches to them. Also, various projects aimed at identifying and locating hazardous substances and their disposal. Now, river basins. We will never improve the marine environment without dealing with the sources of pollution located ashore. Quite a lot of garbage ending up in the sea gets there from the rivers. However, the management of rivers is governed by different type legislation. HELCOM offered a number of approaches. HELCOM suggested that numerical indicators of the condition of the sea environment were used for the river basins, and these targets, if we use those targets, then the targets for the sea will never be reached. Because the targets for inland waterways are necessarily different from those for the sea.
This is the main problem for the Baltic Sea. Interesting papers were presented, joint Russian-Estonian papers on the Narva River, that is a bridge on unifying the approaches used in Russia and the European Union, and a very good example of cooperation. And the results of this work make a serious contribution to the assessment of impact of river runoff on the Baltic Sea. The Baltic industrial symbiosis, generally, the idea complies with the mainstream of circular economy. Good examples were given. An excursion was also organized with a demonstration of the object, and we should say that these problems were discussed not only at this round table, but also at the round table on wastewater, on wastewater treatment and recycling of nutrients, and the same concept underlies this industrial symbiosis, as far as I understand, and it was proposed to not to use the term treatment plants, but the plants on recovery of resources. So it was proposed to rename them. Everything makes a contribution to the processes related with development of circular economy. Waste water management. This is a platform, project platform, BSR Water. This is a very extensive theme, targeted in many respects to support the strategy developed by HELCOM on recycling of nutrients. This is a very complicated and versatile program. The discussion was very interesting. Serious experts took part in the discussion from Vodokanals and practitioners in treatment of wastewater, including the companies that develop the technologies. And as to the main resolution, it can be said that at present we can offer solutions for all systems of wastewater. The main thing is selection, their correct application. So the strategy developed by HELCOM is supported. The necessity was also mentioned for the so-called pilot projects. Since the risks of the pilot project are high, we shouldn't do without public funds. Business would not be able to solve the problem. It needs support and, of course, cooperation. Another important issue, if we recycle nutrients, it is necessary to have data. And if we compete with mineral fertilizers at the market, products based on recycling of nutrients cannot compete with other products at the market. So the scheme is quite complicated. Recycling should be organized together with recovery of other useful components and the use of other useful features of wastewater, for instance, energy generation. A good example was given by our Danish colleagues, where the treatment plants are not only energy neutral, but they are energy positive to such an extent that they are selling 50% of energy. It was also noted that neither recycling nor the use of nutrients, this also costs money, because the measures on preventing warehousing and the measures on preventing losses to the environment are also costing money. So this should be taken into account in the business models. And I hope that I have finished my quick review of the round tables. And as to the last round table, I received a message that the poll should be organized and the results will be fully presented and will become a part of the book of abstracts. One round table hasn't presented anything, that is agriculture. That's all. Thank you for your attention. Dear colleagues, Vladislav Borisovich, has he come? Vladislav Borisovich, have you prepared the information on your round table? Just a few words, please. Dear colleagues, we really had a very interesting session. We discussed a future renewed plan on protection of the Baltic Sea in terms of its agriculture, and we decided that we have to discuss it more actively in the expert community so that it would be more adequate and literate, and we decided that we're going to support the main actions under this plan related to agriculture that have been determined. This is development of organic agriculture. There is a whole number of questions that arise. We need special technical facilities, but we shouldn't have large structures, large tractors. We should have small tractors that might operate on small areas and that would ensure safe agricultural activities. And we're sometimes forgetting at the level of HELCOM that if we are speaking about the territories, we should take into account the soil, because in soil these substances are retained or used by the plants, or if we use the soil intensely, that is not the soil afterwards, but some alumina or sand through which everything will flow. We create it is rather actively used in Europe and in Canada. Soil would retain all the substances that are necessary and supply plants with them. And the major section was dedicated to the work with manure, new types of using manure. And there is a special information system that has been developed due to which you can distribute manure within the region and use it safely from the environmental viewpoint. And the last thing, that work was conducted with schools and how this work is proceeding, and special emphasis should be placed on environmental education, ecological education of children. We should prepare the educational materials that are not available. We're speaking about the environmental protection for school children. Where do we have the books, the textbooks for children? There are no textbooks that are officially approved. So we agreed that within 2 weeks, probably, the resolution of our section will be discussed, and then we submit them to the organizers for approval. Thank you very much, Vladislav Borisovich. To continue summing up the results of our forum, I would start probably with acknowledgements and thanks, and I would like to thank all the participants of the forum. I would like to thank moderators of all roundtables and their participants, the participants of the plenary session and plenary discussion, organizing committee, all those who took part in preparation and holding of this forum, who provided technical support that ensure minute-wise control of internet communication, video communication, and the possibility of hearing each other and understanding each other, and the interpreters as well. So I hope that in March 2022, we'll meet each other once again in the city of St. Petersburg, but we hope that we'll meet each other face to face. Probably some online format will be preserved, but it will be the minimum format for those who just couldn't come to St. Petersburg. But I hope that all the borders will be open, and all of us, like in previous years, like it was at our anniversary forum, will meet each other face to face. So we thank you for participation, for assistance in holding this important environmental event. Thank you, Natalia Borisovna. And undoubtedly, the forum could not be held if it was not supported by many organizations, that is HELCOM primarily, and the government of St. Petersburg and the Swedish Energy on control of maritime water resources and the international projects and programs, INTERREG, Baltic Sea Region, Baltic Industrial Symbiosis, Basin Water Platform, a program of transboundary cooperation, Russia, Estonia, Narva project, the flagship Russia, Finland, Ladoga Balt, with support of our partners, Gastroy and local companies. Technical provision of the event was ensured by Sin company, and I would like to give the floor to a person who just did everything possible to organize this event. It is Natalia Boboleva from Mineral. Thank you, Ivan Alexandrovich. I will try to be brief. We're planning to prepare the abstracts. So we're waiting, looking forward to get the expanded resolution, approved resolutions for introducing them into the book of abstracts. With your consent, will you please upload the presentation on our site so that all the participants will be able to get acquainted with them? Many thanks have been given, but I would also like to thank our organizing committee. Really, I would like to thank the moderators, Natalia St, Natalia Borisova, and Dmitry Alexandrovich, all the moderators who are present in this hall. I can see Nadezhda Alexandrovna, Vidislav Borisovich, all those who are naming. Thanks are due to our partners, EKAT-Kaliningrad, with whom we have worked a lot during this forum, and probably my greatest gratitude would go to you, my colleagues, Svetlana Tachanskaya, Alisa Zaratsenko, Polina Isaeva. Thank you very much. And Alona, who took pictures of us, who showed the most important moments. Thank you very much, Alona. All the pictures, if you allow, would be uploaded on the site, or just contact us. We're going to send them. Once again, thank you very much. And it is very pleasant to end our forum. We invite you to participate in the reception at Hilton restaurant where we had lunch yesterday. That is organized by EKAT-Kaliningrad under the project Vesa Water. Thank you very much once again. And I just have to pronounce a couple of words. Thank you very much for participation, who were in these halls and who were online during these 2 days, and see you next year. Thank you.